Haggai's 4 oracles follow an A-B pattern. So in his first oracle, in chapter 1, Haggai condemns the post-exilic community's apathy, their neglect of the house of the Lord, and the resultant curse on their land. And his third oracle, A-B-A, is going to return to that same theme, but it's going to do so by way of an analogy taken right from the book of Leviticus. Take a look at this. Haggai is going to ask yet another question here in his third oracle, and he's going to say, why don't we ask this question to the priests? If someone carries holy meat in the fold of his garment, and he touches normal food, bread, stew, wine, or oil, does that normal food become holy? No, it doesn't, because this holiness isn't contagious. It can't make other things holy just by touching it. All right, let's ask the inverse question. Say someone is unclean, and this unclean person touches any of this common food. What happens to that? Does it become unclean? And the priest said, of course it does. It does become unclean. That's because holiness is not contagious, but uncleanness is contagious. Now, what's the point of these confusing questions taken out of the book of Leviticus? Well, I like the explanation offered by Old Testament scholar Tremper Longman. Take a look at how he explains these questions of Haggai's. So he says that the point of this ruling on the legal matter is that holiness is not contagious. We just explained that. But look how he connects this holiness to this post-exilic community's experience right now working on the temple. Holiness is not contagious in the same way that working on the temple, a holy space, will not make the people holy. Just because you're doing this good thing, working on the temple, don't think that that's going to make you holy if your internal heart isn't in full alignment with God and with his will. But the ritual uncleanness or defilement of the people is contagious. And this is the dangerous thing, you guys. The temple itself could be defiled by the uncleanness of the temple or of the people working on that temple. He says, by way of conclusion, Haggai, so it is with this people and with this nation and with every work of their hands, either in the land, on their crops, or in the temple. What they offer me there in the temple would be unclean if they themselves are unclean. The temple will not simply act as a magic talisman. That, of course, was the flaw in the thinking of the pre-exilic community. The temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, right out of Jeremiah 7. Well, Haggai is going to urge the post-exilic community, do not contaminate the temple with your acts of injustice and idolatry, but be holy before the Lord when you bring your sacrifices to this new second temple. Well, then he is going to encourage the people with a double consider, just like he did here in the first oracle. Consider your ways. Now he's going to say twice, consider from this day on. Before today, when you didn't build the temple, when it was lying in ruins for 16 years, there was blight on your land, mildew and hail. This is all covenant curse language. But he says, consider from this day onward, from the day that you began working on the temple and you repented and you turned towards the Lord, from this day onward, I will bless you. Covenant curse language, covenant blessing language. And it's quite interesting, the day on which this particular oracle is delivered, December 18th, would have been right in the middle of Israel's winter growing season. The seeds were in the ground, and what Yahweh's doing here, he's promising a miraculous harvest. I mean, they might have sown little, but Yahweh promises you will harvest much because I will bless you. I mean, this is kind of like a Joel 2:25 moment, right? I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. I will bless your land. And then in our final oracle, oracle number 4, which matches oracle number 2, for the second time, Haggai is going to say, or Yahweh through Haggai, that I will shake the heavens and the earth. And then here in verses 21 and 22, Haggai is going to focus on God's judgment of the rebellious nations in that final cataclysmic moment before he ushers in the messianic kingdom. So he says, I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms and I will destroy the strength of the nations. I will do this before my king takes his throne in Jerusalem over all nations. And this king, he's going to be from the line of David, a descendant of David, and a descendant of Zerubbabel. Now, 3 of Haggai's 4 oracles are going to address these leaders, Zerubbabel and Joshua, Zerubbabel and Joshua, Zerubbabel, a king and a priest, a king and a priest. Now, can you think of anyone, any significant individual who fulfills both of these roles, a king and a priest? A king priest, perhaps someone who grew up in the town of Nazareth, maybe? Oh, that's probably significant, isn't it? Well, technically, Zerubbabel, he's not a king. He's only a governor. And he's a governor who reports to the Persian government. He's a vassal. And that's because in the post-exilic age, in the same way that our hopes for the temple fall short of the prophetic expectations, so our hope for the future king from the line of David falls short of those prophetic promises as well. But the final verse of the book of Haggai, Haggai 2:23, is placed there to reignite our hope in a future coming messianic king. Take a look at the last verse of this book, addressed to Zerubbabel specifically. Haggai is going to, turn his attention to Zerubbabel, the governor. It's like, I'm going to talk to you right now. I'm going to shake the heavens and the earth. And on that day, on the day when I shake the heavens and the earth, I will take you, Zerubbabel, my servant, and I will make you like a signet ring, for I have chosen you. And none of these words in this final verse of the book are accidental. Everyone is crucially important. This title, my servant, is a very rare title. It was used of Moses and of Abraham and of David in 2 Samuel 7, the Davidic covenant. Crucial language right there. And of course, it was used of the suffering servant as well in Isaiah 53. Well, God also promises to make Zerubbabel his chosen signet ring as well. Very critical language there. Now, a signet ring was a ring that was inscribed with the seal of the king, and anyone bearing that seal was invested with the king's royal authority. He acted on his authority as his representative. So in the same way that Yahweh is king of heaven, he's invested the king from the line of David with his authority to be the king on the earth. Well, that's pretty neat. But this language of the signet ring is even more powerful when we remember its usage in the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah 22. Now look at this. Remember our buddy Jeremiah. He condemned the kings of Israel. He was Judah's deathbed prophet. And look what he says to Coniah, also known as Jehoiachin, son of Jehoiakim. He says that, were you the signet ring on my right hand, Coniah, what would I do? I would tear it off my finger, and I would give you into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, and I would hurl you to another country, and there you would die. Oh man, that's intense, but it's going to get even worse. Look at verse 30. Thus says the Lord, write this man, Coniah, write him down as childless, for none of his offspring shall succeed in sitting on the throne of David. Now that's kind of strange because Zerubbabel, he is an offspring. He is a descendant from Coniah. And strangely, so is Jesus. I mean, at least through Joseph in Matthew 1, the genealogy there, but it kind of appears that he is as well in Luke 3 through Mary as well. So how do we understand this curse from Jeremiah 22? Well, in 586, when Jerusalem and its temple burned to the ground, and the Babylonians gouged out the eyes of Zedekiah, the last king of Judah, and they hauled the people off into exile, on that day, God took the ring of the line of David, the signet ring, and he threw it to the ground. But here, through the prophet Haggai, God promises to the post-exilic community who have committed themselves to Yahweh that he will put that ring back on his finger. And he promises also to raise up a righteous son of David and son of Zerubbabel, who will reign on his throne in Jerusalem over all nations. And so glorious will that city and that temple be that all nations will flock to the city of Jerusalem, the city of David, and they will offer their king the glory of the nations.